Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
This is Colm McGuigan for IFL TV. Delighted to be joined by Eddie Hearn in Las Vegas, Nevada. Eddie, first of all, Conor Benn just seems in strange. Yeah. You liking the fit there?
Like that, is it?
Yeah, it's not really, to be honest with you.
Like, the logos up there.
No,
We've got showing off the glow.
I think that's the best we can do here. You take one step back for me. Yeah, it's better. In terms of Conor Benn, and this week, he seems really fired up. There seems to be something different. I was speaking to Jamie Ward, and he was telling me about the fight between his dad and Barkley here, and how he finished him in the first round, and Conor said he wants to do it quicker. What do you make of that?
Let's just get one thing straight. Historically, this is the first time Matchroom have ever promoted a British fighter in a main event in Las Vegas. So, like, that's huge for us. Imagine for Conor Benn. You know, the legacy of his family. You talk about his dad fighting Iron Barkley and other people here as well. Conor Benn is headlining on the Las Vegas Strip on Saturday afternoon. It is unbelievable. And he's fired up. You know, I saw the Ariel Helwani interview yesterday. I thought it was a bit much for fight week, but that's the kid. He's an emotional kid. Like, he's ready to fight at any moment. Sometimes I'll speak to him and I think he wants to chin me. But he wants to take Dobson out in style. And let's be honest, if we're talking about him fighting Canelo Crawford, Boots Ennis, all these guys, he's got to destroy Dobson on Saturday. And I believe he's ready to do it. So can't wait. Great card. There's some great sleeping fights on the card. Osto Ammo Williams in a really tough fight. Khalil Coe's got a great fight. Johnny Fisher's in a tough fight as well. Delighted for the boys, Liddard and Sainsey here. What an opportunity for them. And really looking forward to Conor Benn making a big statement this weekend.
Some people here will critique you for running early and going on the UK time, especially as your first show, as you say, headlining in Las Vegas. Just talk me through the idea behind that.
I mean, it's very straightforward. Conor Benn is a massive star in the UK, right? When you talk, and some people say I don't really like the haters because some people say who's talking, but tell me the bigger names than Conor Benn in the UK. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. I'm a little bit stuck after that, right? Could you say Eubank? Yeah, maybe. It's an argument. This guy does huge numbers. This guy is electric to watch. So DAZN said, look, we wanted to do this fight in the UK. We know he can fight anywhere in the world, apart from with the British Boxing Board of Control in Britain, which is absolutely bizarre, but we are where we are. So DAZN said, we want the Conor Benn fight to be available prime time for our UK subscribers and customers. We don't want it coming in at 4 o'clock in the morning. We know the audience is so much smaller at that time. Obviously, it's not a massive fight for the US fight fans. We're in the Cosmo, it holds 3,000, it's full up. No problem. But it is a little bit of a tougher sell on the ground here when the doors are opening at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Do you know what I mean? But we are building mega fights for Conor Benn in the UK. And what we need is prime time audience. And that was the decision we made.
On the flip side of that, the US, maybe the people here that want to see you grow in the US and feel that your stable isn't as big as what you could be.
It's never perfect, yeah? Life is never perfect. So whilst you make a decision because you think that's the right decision, something else might be affected. We can pick holes about how a decision might affect something else. You go with your gut instinct, you go with what you believe in, which is Conor Benn is a massive UK star. We deliver this fight to the UK audience at prime time. And the US audience, it's going to be, I think the show starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's not the end of the world. We appreciate it's not going to break the records for the US audience, but the key for us is we don't want Conor Benn fighting at 4 o'clock in the morning. We want him fighting at 10:30 p.m. so we can get a big UK audience to watch, in my opinion, pound for pound, one of the very elite, most exciting fighters in the UK.
In terms of Conor Benn and what's next, not looking past Peter Dobson, but if he does come through this test in emphatic fashion, who do you want to see him face next?
I'm bored of saying Eubank, but it just baffles me that kid won't take the fight. He's mental. Kid, man. No disrespect. If we fight in the UK next, which is absolutely the priority, Chris Eubank, Kell Brook, Liam Smith. They're the fights I like. There's also the ability to bring other names to the UK. If we're fighting in the US next, obviously it has to be a big US name. We have the backing, and very thankfully, and Conor particularly shares that thanks to DAZN, they are ready to make the move with us for Conor Benn in a big way. We could have waited till April for a fight. We wanted to get him out. We had 5 weeks. He headlines in Las Vegas. We keep that momentum. He knocks this guy Spark out, and everyone says this kid is a bad motherfucker. And let's get him back in the ring ASAP. And that's what we're going to do. So the appeal, which will come in February, hopefully we win that, we get it boxed off, we move forward. This kid can fill stadiums, any arena in the UK. The future is massive for him, but get through Saturday, get the appeal boxed off. Let's bring him back to the UK. British boxing needs Conor Benn back. Soon it will be 2 years that this has lasted for. Enough's enough. It's time.
Chris Eubank Sr. done an interview with Coogan today. You probably haven't seen it yet, but he basically blamed you on the fact that the fight won't be made with Junior, and he said he won't allow that fight to happen. He said that Conor Benn would have to come through Harlem Eubank first. What do you make of those comments?
Chris Eubank Sr., as I understand it, has absolutely no involvement with Chris Eubank Jr. He seems to have a little bit of a bee in his bonnet. I saw parts of the interview. It's not nice to watch, but there's no interest in a Harlem Eubank Conor Benn fight, with all due respect to Harlem Eubank, who I think is a good young fighter. So it's at the end of the day, we got many options. It's just bizarre that we can't make the biggest fight in British boxing between those two. So that's down to Callis Howland. He's the guy who's going to work with Chris Eubank to see if they can get him in the fight. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I was baffled that it didn't take place, and I was the guy who thought he said absolute shooing. Like, if everyone has just an ounce of common sense, this fight gets made like that. But unfortunately, the common sense deserted people, and we are where we are. We stay active, and you'll see Conor Benn in a massive fight next.
Boatsy Aziz this weekend as well. Do you believe that will run at the same time as this main event?
Possibly. I mean, I don't. You would have seen, as we said in Belfast last week, we brought the main event time early. What was it, 9:30, 9:45? The show was over by 10, just after. That is what we are trying to do this year for UK fight nights. Bring the timings forward. I think they go on too late. So I think Sky will try and get Boatsy Aziz as close to 10 o'clock as possible. Conor will ring walk at 10:30. So there is a chance that they could be over by the time Conor steps in the ring. But we don't want to go much later than 10:30 p.m. So it's not like, and I like Boatsy Aziz, I think it's a good British title fight. But we're not gonna. It's not like we're watching Fury Usyk and blimey, we really need everyone to turn off that one. So Conor's making his own moves, his own noise, and you can set your alarms for 10:30 because that will be our guaranteed ring walk time.
What's the status of the legal proceedings with Boatsy at the moment?
Ongoing. I mean, I can't comment on stuff like that, but we will always make sure that our contracts are respected. We don't want to fall out with people, but unfortunately, this was a decision that we had to take, and ongoing. What's
the situation with Caroline Dubois and Beatrice Ferreira? Is that fight going to be made, or if she fights, is that categorically not going to happen?
The IBF rules are clear. When you're in negotiations for a world title fight, you can't just go and take another fight. And they've been made aware of that by the IBF, but they've still chose to do it. Like, Caroline Dubois will fight anyone, all right? And she will fight Beatrice Ferreira. The people who look after her will not let her fight Beatrice Ferreira. It is a 50-50 fight, by the way. I'm not saying, Beatrice wins that fight. It's an absolute barn burner, that fight. Barn burner. But it's very dangerous for Caroline Dubois when they're building her up to be the next coming of, Katie Taylor, to jump in a fight like that at this stage in her career. So what they've done is, they know that by boxing on Saturday night is going to eliminate her from that process, but it's much better than pulling out. Do you know what I mean? So when you're told, just to let you know, if you box on Saturday, you won't be fighting for the world title. What they can do is they can fight on Saturday and go, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Now the IBF have taken us out of the running. You knew that anyway. So they're not going to fight Beatrice Ferreira, but Caroline is a brilliant fighter. Like, she will be a world champion. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be another belt to free up for her in time. But in my opinion, the people who look after her will not let her fight Beatrice Ferreira.
Just to clarify, that's Boxer and Ben Shalom that you're referring to?
Or Shane or Barry. I don't know. Shane knows the game inside out. By the way, and this is not, Beatrice Ferreira, she can't win that fight. Caroline can win that fight. But it's a 50-50 war. If you want to roll the dice for Caroline Dubois now, in a 50-50 war, let's do it. Because Beatrice will do it. Because she has no fear. And we have no fear in Beatrice, because I think, let's do it. But if you're trying to build someone and she's like a a pillar of your sort of crumbling temple, then you got to keep her. You can't get her beat at this stage in her career. So if I was in their position, I think I would probably say, not yet, not yet. I mean, look, you see the level of opposition she's fighting. There's a massive gap, but she's very good, really good fighter.
Last one for me, because you're pushed for time. Cordina Kakachi has not been officially announced and not spoke about. What's the reason for that, Eddie?
Just because tying up the contracts, of which we're doing this week with Joe. Spoke to George this morning. All fine. You'll
It will definitely go ahead.
You'll get an official announcement on the full card shortly.
Eddie, always a pleasure. Catch you tomorrow.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.